There we are. Good evening, everybody. I hope everybody is doing well. Hope you guys are having, I hope you had a good weekend. Sunday already. Time goes by so fast. It's absolutely crazy. I hope, like I said, I hope you guys had a good weekend. I hope you got to prep and get ready. So hopefully that is what is happening. So, anyway, before we jump into anything, I want to read because we're going to talk about what's happening next. So some interesting comments have been made, and I want to discuss them, and I want to get your guys' feedback on it, hear what you have to say, and I'm going to share my thoughts with you, and we're going to go from there. So before we jump into anything, though, I just want to remind everybody that this is a very family-friendly oriented channel. I would ask you all to please be decent in the chat. No racism, no nastiness. If you cannot abide by those really simple, easy rules, those awesome people lit up in blue with the blue wrenches will boot you out of here because we're not going to have it. All right. So before we jump into anything, so like I said again, well, actually, what I want to do first, I'm going to open up my green tea and get a hit of that. I wanted to show you guys something because another thing I wanted to tell you. If we have any interruptions with the stream with the internet, please make sure you realize that there's going to be possibly issues. If it happens, I will get right back on as soon as I possibly can. So just remember that I will definitely do that as well. So one of the group members, I wanted to show you this, had this package sent down. We were talking about lighting for the pavilion, right? So I wanted to show you guys this. These are, and they send two came in the package. Okay, so they're solar lights. Got the connectors on the back of that, and I'll show you the rest of this here in a second. It comes with this solar panel. So basically, we'll be hooking this up outside somewhere, so that it's going to get as much sun as possible. It has the two connectors here, pretty long. I know. I what? Relax. I know. I know. I know. So anyway, so I know she's like, "What do you got, Dad? What's going on?" So that is, I believe, going to be a project that I'm going to do tomorrow. And I know, honey, relax, relax. Okay, I know, I know. I see you. Hi, everybody sees you. Okay, down you go. She thinks it's treat time. Yeah, it's not treat time. All right, so that's I think that's going to be a tomorrow project. I'm going to see about getting that hooked up and getting that set up. So that should be fun. And it actually has two, and I wanted to show you this. Hold on, where is that other? Actually has a remote as well. So you can keep it on, turn it off. I don't know how long the charge is, to be honest with you, but it's going to be a nice light source for the pavilion. So my friend Wendy up in Canada and her man are watching tonight. So quick shout out and hello to Wendy. I hope you guys are doing good up there. So all right, let's get into this. All right. I don't know if a couple things that I find really really interesting. I like I said, always got a ton of questions. I like to word things in the form of a question because in that way you kind of get my point. But so I'm not saying it, I'm asking, right? I have to be careful on YouTube here because of all the games that are played constantly. But here's a couple things that I wanted to talk about, and I thought that this was real interesting and scary at the same time. So the first thing I wanted to talk about, they had a conversation with Biden the other day, and I remember, was it a year ago? He said the pandemic is over. Pandemic's over, nothing to worry about. It's all gone away, no worries anymore, right? And if you guys have been paying attention to the news lately, they've been talking about it's starting to uptick. It's starting to uptick again. Got to be more careful. And I have seen an increase of people out in public with their face diaper on, and doing that again without being told, right? There's been talk about possibly lockdowns coming back. There's also talking about restrictions and all that type of stuff again. So, but Biden made a very interesting point the other day when he was asked directly a question, and he said he is authorized, and they're talking about getting a new vaccine, right? But here was the interesting thing that he said, that everyone will have to take. Hmm, I found that really interesting. Who is he or anyone else to say that everyone has to do something? I think that it is you know crazy that they think, especially after what happened this last time, and how a lot of the things that they said were not the truth. Right? We know that. Remember, and I'm going to give an example. And again, so this is not misinformation. This is an absolutely fact. When they said if you get this, that you're safe, you're covered, you won't get sick, right? Remember that? All that. And who got sick? Biden got sick, what, twice? You had Trudeau got it. All these people, Fauci got it. All these people got it, right? But they were telling us that if we got that we're going to be perfectly safe and you're not going to spread it and everything's going to be beautiful and all that type of thing, right? So now 70%, I think, was the number that ended up taking it the first time. 70% of America took it the first time. Again, I'm want to be real clear on this. I don't care if you took it. I don't care if you didn't take it. That's your personal preference, your personal choice. Not my business. I'm not going to tell you what you should or should not do. That's something that's, when you are threatened. Okay, and I want you to think about this, folks. I want you to think about this. When you are threatened that if you don't take something that you're going to lose your job, that is something you should be concerned about, something that you need to be worried about. You know, that's the majority of America. You're right, Terrence. It is, and that they were saying that it was like 70%, but that was after it was forced, and that's the reality, folks. It was forced. First, they tried. First, they tried by bribery, right? Remember that? Oh, they tried bribery. Oh, like West Virginia, they had a lottery where you could win a rifle, right? There was certain states, I think Ohio was one of them, was giving out free 4-year tuition for the winner of who, in the drawing. If you hadn't gotten it to that point and you took it, then you'd be in this lottery to win a scholarship, right? So they tried bribery, and that's bribery. I don't care whatever sugar coating you put on top of it, bribery is bribery. So they did that. Then it was and I don't want to use the word propaganda, but if you guys want to use the word propaganda, that's perfectly fine. But the next step was shaming. You're not doing it just for yourself. You're doing it for, the people around you, to keep the people around you safe. So it's not about you, it's about everybody else. And, heaven forbid that you get grandma sick and all those type of things. But here's something that I will remember forever. And nobody was held accountable for this. Okay. In New York State, they made the decisions. And it just happened to be the same lady that is now ahead, was over there with FEMA. She got a promotion, by the way, too, on this whole thing. She's now the head of this FEMA stuff over in Hawaii, was leading the way. They had her talking and stuff like that. Okay. She was the one that was in charge of the pandemic stuff in New York State. And what the decision was made. And I want you to think about this. And was this done intentionally, or was it a mistake? You share with me your thoughts on this. I'm not going to tell you what you think. I know what I think. You had all these sick people down in New York City, okay? All these elderly people were sick, and all these people were getting sick, and it was like the epicenter area of New York State. And what they did, and you could not refuse, remember this too, you were not allowed to refuse. They shipped all of these sick elderly people up to nursing homes all through upstate New York. All right. As a direct result of that decision, more than 10,000 elderly people in nursing homes died because they got in there, it spread. A lot of people died because it was compromised people, people that are already sick, they're old, their immune systems aren't what they should be, right? That was a fact. That has been proven. They also suppressed those numbers for a long, long time. So they kind of tried to hide them, right? And yes, they died alone because nobody was allowed to go in. They were isolated. They were in their rooms. They were not allowed to socialize with their fellow human beings. And we are social creatures by nature. We need to be around other people, okay? But that's a decision that was made, and that was still under Cuomo, because Cuomo was still in charge, I think, at that point, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure he was still in charge at that point. All those people were shipped up to upstate New York nursing homes. They were not allowed to refuse them. They had to take them in, and as a direct result, more than 10,000 of our elderly people in New York State died because of that. All right. Somebody should have gone to jail because of those decisions. But of course, this is politicians and they all watch out for each other. Guys, what do we have? 422 in the chat already. We got 139 thumbs up. So if you have not shot a thumbs up yet, I'm going to ask you to give a thumbs up, please, to show support for the channel. It also makes a big, big difference with the algorithm. So I do appreciate it for that reason as well. So thank you for doing it for that reason. Also, if you are not subscribed to the channel, I will ask you to please subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell icon to get all notifications as well. All right. So here's another interesting point that I want you guys to think about. Again, we're having a discussion. I'm not telling you this is what's going to happen and this is what they're going to do. I'm not going to do that because I don't know what their game plan is. Who remembers vaccine passports, right? Remember that? If you wanted to travel, you had to have a vaccine passport proving that you've had your shots before you could go fly off to XYZ country. Remember all that, right? So they spent a lot of money setting that up. Now they're saying, right, oh, to be able to travel, if you're from the United States, you don't have to have your vaccine passport. But let's remember, right, if you decide, hey, I'm going to go and take that trip to Ireland that I've always wanted to go to. Or let's just say you decide to go across the border to Canada, right? It's going to go up to Canada for the weekend. Like I lived in New York forever and a day. We should go to Canada all the time. It's a great place to hang out and have a good time and party, go to the casino, whatever we were going to do up there. If you don't have your vaccine passport proving that you have complied and done what you were told, you're not going to be allowed to travel to those other countries. So think about that, okay? So yeah, and I'm going to tell you what, at this point in the game, for me personally, I could care less. I'll stay right here in the good old US of A. I don't need to go anywhere. I don't need to go overseas or any of that type of stuff. So that's a and that's a choice that I'll make because I'm never, and I will say this again and again and again. I will never get this. That's never happening. Okay, whatever comes next, whatever they put down the pipe next for us, I ain't playing. I didn't play the first time. Again, like I said, it is your choice. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not telling you you should do this or you should do that. You have a choice to make. You have a decision to make. You're all adults, hopefully, that are watching this for the most part. I'm sure there's some kids watching too. But, we really have to pay attention to what happened before. Again, you look at what happened before, right? And I will reiterate this a million times for you guys. They had the lockdowns. You had to do social distancing. If you wanted to go, out in public, they made you. Well, they said you had to wear the face diaper, but not all of us did, but a lot of people did. The majority of people did, and there was a lot of shaming if you didn't comply, if you weren't on the team and playing along, and you're trying to kill somebody. And I watched a video. And I'm trying to remember who it was. There was a guy. He was of Arab descent, and he was talking with this lady. And this lady was a black woman, and she had a mask on, and he didn't have a mask on. And so they were discussing different things. And so she had asked him a question, and he said, "Well, no, I don't agree with it." She goes, "Oh, well, then you're one of those right-wing lunatics. And he goes, no, I don't identify as right, left, or whatever. I have questions and this. She goes, well, did you ever get this? And he was like, no, I didn't. Well, see, you're a right-wing lunatic. She kept trying to push that agenda on this guy, and then she goes, and my life is in danger being here, even being here with you. It was insanity to watch it. These type of people that are that, if they've drank the Kool-Aid, if you will, that are that committed, there is no reasoning with anybody like that. You're not going to be able to sit down and have an intelligent conversation and be able to have a discussion and say, hey, you know what? We can agree to disagree, but my thing is this, and this is what I had told somebody. So now my ex, she went and did it. My son did it because he's with her. Okay. My daughter has not. I have not. My mom did not. My sister did not. And so, there was a lot of us that did not. And what I said to my ex wife was, well, here's something interesting. You went and did all this and complied and did what you were told and stuff like that. I never did. How am I still here? How am I still alive? Right? Wasn't this supposed to be this horrible, terrible thing that was out there that was killing everybody? But oh yeah, really wasn't affecting the young people. Not really, unless they were compromised. It was affecting the older people. And where was the? What I want to see, okay, what I would love to see, where's the statistics on the flu? Where was the statistics on the flu for the course of those couple of years? Right? Did you hear about the flu at all? That's a question I'm asking, not telling you. But did you hear about the flu at all during that time period when we had Corona? Right? Did you hear about that? I didn't. They weren't talking about that. What happened to the normal 68,000 people pretty much every year that die of the flu or flu-like symptoms because their immune systems are suppressed because of cancer treatments, autoimmune diseases. They're elderly, they don't have the strength to fight it anymore. All those things. Where are those statistics? They're not going to show you those statistics because it doesn't fit the narrative. I saw something today and this really, really bothered me. And I will tell you why it bothered me, because it's like, it is that it's the media. The media does this and it pisses me off so bad. So you had a lunatic, I believe it was in Florida, that went in to a place. He ended up killing 3 people, wounded some other folks, I believe, and then he killed himself. Okay. Well, he had all this ideology, this hate ideology, against. He didn't like black people, so of course they're blowing it up in the media, right? Oh, this is a hate crime and this is terrible and blah 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 blah. Well, how many times? And this is again, I like I said, I like to ask questions. How many times do you see or hear about the hate crimes perpetuated against white people? Or like that, do you hear that when somebody's attacked because they're white by a mob of angry black people or whatever? You don't hear about those things because that doesn't fit the narrative to keep that pot stirring. They want, you have to understand this. I don't see, for me personally, I don't care what color you are. Your character is what I care about. If you're a good human being, you're a good human being. I don't care what color you are. But the media will continue to and will always continue to stir that race pot because they know that they can get things going. They can get people all amped up with their emotions, divide and conquer. You're right, all American prepper, you're 100% correct. It's all about keeping us fighting amongst each other. If we could look past this nonsense, and yes, are there people out there that have that kind of hatred in their heart? There is, absolutely there is. Okay, but when you start blaming all white people, with the whole thing with slavery. All right, let's just even talk about that. White people didn't invent slavery. We weren't the ones that said, hey, let's just take this group of people and enslave them and make them do what they want. Slavery has been going on all the way back to biblical times. The Jews were the slaves of the Egyptians, right? I remember that. I've read my Bible. Those of you that have read your Bible probably remember that, with Moses and the parting of the Red Sea, and off they go, right? You know, they were slaves. Now, were they black? Were they white? Were they whatever, Middle Eastern? I don't know. I don't know what they were at that point in time or what color they were. It doesn't make a difference. All right. Slavery is slavery. Whoever perpetuated the mongrels had slaves. The American Indians, what they would do is actually the American Indians were better. They would take people, would kill everybody below a certain age or up to a certain age, and anybody below it, they would just incorporate them into the tribe. So if they, captured little Johnny and Johnny was 3 years old, they raised him to be a member of the tribe, and he became part of the tribe. They just didn't kill him because he was white. Okay, so it wasn't like straight out we're going to kill all these people because of that. There has been slavery throughout the history of mankind. It's not white people's fault that there was slavery. Now, did white people participate in slavery? Absolutely, yes, they did. But I have a startling fact to share with some people. Some of you may not know this, some of you may know this. We did not go over to Africa with butterfly nets and capture black people. We didn't do that. We went to Africa, and other Africans sold captured members of an opposing tribe into slavery. They had captured them. They sold them to Europeans, right? And the Europeans sent them out wherever they were going to send them out to. So last I checked, I mean, nobody I know back then had a butterfly net capturing black people. So they did it to themselves, but it was their enemies that they did that to. So, these type of things, guys, have been going on forever. And to vilify white people, and I hear the talk all the time about, all white people are just inherently racist. Well, that's just such nonsense. Racism is racism. And I hate when people say, oh, it's reverse racism. There's no such thing as reverse racism, just so you know. Racism is racism. So anybody can be racist if they act a certain way. And if you have those thoughts that, oh, all white people are this way, well, then you're a racist. That's a fact. Okay. It's like, I get so tired of the propaganda and how many people feed into it and they believe it. And whatever they're told, they eat it up. They can't get enough. I got to kill the volume on this phone because I just got a notification, but I had not had the phone off. All right, there we go. Anyway, so we're going to go back to this whole situation. Yeah, I'm on my soapbox tonight, Malachi's Corner. I just I see this game that is being played on us. All right, and it drives me insane that more people don't get it. That more people don't get it. You know, after this last round of nonsense that they perpetuated on us, right? And they did, and they were untruthful about a lot of things, right? Again, I'm going to ask you this again, and I've talked about this before. Go look at the numbers year to year, year to year. How many people died in the United States in 2018? How many people died in the year 2019? And look at those years, and then look at the pandemic years. Now, you would think, because oh my God, we had this terrible pandemic, and it was horrible, and it was terrible, and just listen to the news; they'll tell you exactly. Oh, it was awful, and you know, look at the numbers. Did they change? You would think there would be this huge spike up. Like, let's say if there was a normally 2.5 million people dying per year, right? And during those years, we had this big spike of 500, 600,000 more people dying that particular year. You would think, okay, so if I look at the numbers, instead of 2.5 million people dead, it should be 3.1 million. But it wasn't. Guess what it was? It was 2.5. So I would love for somebody to explain that to me. That would be interesting. I know that during different times in the dark ages when had the plague go through there and it killed 40, 50 million people, you could see the statistics were, holy crap, in this time period this many more people died and there was this huge spike. So very interesting. um, it makes me question a lot of things. Now, again, like I said, I'm not telling you that the virus wasn't real. I truly believe the virus was real. where it came from, the origins and all that type of stuff. And in the beginning, if you said, well, I believe it came from XYZ, that was misinformation. We would get a strike and we would be in trouble. Now the shift has turned, right? The shift has turned, and now they're basically saying, well, it's a real good possibility that it came from XYZ. And I'm not going to say what XYZ was. You guys know what I'm talking about. So that I found very, very interesting as well. And it should be a wake up call for most people, that there are issues that are not being resolved, that, we're not being given all the information. Because people killed in car accidents were also counted as pandemic victims. JJ saying that. That's JJ's statement. Thank you for sharing that. I'm not going to say yes or no on that. I'm just going to, show that you did say that. But again, there was, I heard, I did hear this one, that there was a gentleman that died in a motorcycle accident, and he was labeled. So what you have to understand with the hospital, he was labeled as a victim of the other, even though he died in a motorcycle accident. Now, I don't know if that's true. I don't know if it's not true. So I'm not saying that it is true. Okay. So, that's just, I'm just saying that information was put out there. I don't know the validity of it, but it was put out there. And I haven't seen anybody saying that, no, that wasn't true. There is a lot of things going on right now. This was huge money, folks. This billions and billions of dollars, trillions. Not maybe not trillions, but billions of dollars were made. Was it $1 billion a day or some crazy number that they were making at the height of this? But remember, it was free, but it wasn't free because you, the American taxpayer, paid for it. So. Yeah, flu season was called off because of the pandemic. Yeah, I've had some of my own group members recently have said, "Oh yeah, we, so and so was sick, and they have, that," and I'm like, why couldn't they just have the flu? That was my thought. Why couldn't they just have the flu? Why does it have to be that? Is there no flu anymore? Did the flu vanish like a fart in the wind? Poof, and it's gone. 2.9 million in 2019, 3.3 million. He hasn't given me the other numbers yet. But hospitals were getting big money if a death was labeled from the virus. That we know is a fact. That we know is a fact. Okay. And so, if the more people, again, and like I said, I'm not judging anybody, I'm not saying anything, but if they put somebody on a ventilator, that was more money for the hospital as well. So there was a lot of things. There was a nurse